Live on Facebook.
Yay.
Yay. Hello, Facebook world. I am Jess DeBose. I am your relationship coach and author here with the lovely Briana, who will introduce herself in just a second. Every week I come live on here to give away a free coaching session for anyone who's willing to go live with me so that people can start to connect and understand what coaching is, because I get questions about what is coaching all about all the time. So I decided just to show people what the experience is like. And this is only a snapshot because it's only 30 minutes and most of the sessions are longer and over a period of time, and you're able to go more in depth that way. But this will give you a snapshot of what the experience of coaching is like. So Briana, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you. So yeah, my name's Briana Bowley. I live here in the Gold Coast, South Australia, I was about to say, Queensland rather, in Australia. South Australia is my old home. Yeah, I'm a personal freedom coach myself. And yeah, Jess, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. Like, this is, I said to you, you know, when we had the discussion about doing the call, I really want to show people that I believe everyone needs a coach, especially coaches. And the more we the deeper we go within ourselves, the more we get to rise and the more we can have that ripple effect on others. So I'm just pumped to kind of have the opportunity to go first.
Yay. Oh, yes. I say that all the time. I think almost every week I've had coaches on here. So it's like coaches need coaches. It's just absolutely true. I have coaches. I actually just invested in myself and joined a program with coaches. So it's super important to have a coach. And one thing that I often forget to ask live, because it's already a question I've asked before, but Briana, do I have permission to really go there with you and call you out on any stories or bullshit that I hear while we're on this call?
Please.
Beautiful. So what do you want coaching on, or what's coming up in your world, or what's challenging lately?
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so there's a pattern I'm witnessing play out in my world, which is almost this yo-yo effect. So I'm finding myself okay, so I'll go back a little bit. Years ago, I had this perception that I couldn't have a relationship in my life because, you know, I was focused on building the business and the relationship would take away and distract me from that. And so it was like two complete polarizing forces in my mind. And I'm sort of starting to dabble more and more in interweaving the two, but I'm still witnessing a yo-yo effect playing out of, it's like there'll be 1 week or a couple of weeks or even a month of just hardcore business focus and, you know, money and that will just kind of flow effortlessly in. And then it's like I yo-yo the other way and my life becomes really focused on socializing and connecting and, you know, more of the relationship aspects of my life. And I know, like, the higher me knows that they're the same thing and they both feed into one another, but the smaller me still feels a separation. So basically I'm wanting to bring them together so that they're not these two opposites which are perceived as taking away from each other.
So when you are socializing, what's going on in your mind about your business?
To be honest, the business probably isn't really even in my mind. The only time it sort of is when I'm, you know, someone asks me about what I do, or I guess in the background, more so not when I'm present in the socializing, because when I'm like, that's what I love. I love connecting with people. So I'm fully present in that. But when I come home, I feel an element of like, oh, I didn't get anything done today. You know, like I didn't do any of the shoulds.
Didn't do any of the shoulds. And this is like, okay, and then vice versa. If you're like hyper focused on your business for the day, how do you feel at the end of the day?
I always feel a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. I mean, both light me up, but in very different ways. I sort of almost feel like, you know, when I'm focused on work, I mean, obviously I work with people, so that's still very much relationship building, but it's a different, in my head, it's a slightly different type of relationship building, because as a coach, I take on the role of it being very much about, you know, the person that I'm serving. And so it almost feels a little bit more like giving to me. Whereas the relationships that aren't kind of quite so business related are a lot more, how would I word it? It feels like more of a give and take sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, more of like a mutual exchange.
Got it. Okay. So then you said you go through cycles of this. So is there a pattern of the cycle? Have you noticed that?
To be honest, it probably stems around when I'm making a lot of money. So when I have like a really big week in business, I think I kind of go, cool, I can kick back and, like sort of take the foot off the accelerator with the business side of things. And then I think I come back into full business focus when, obviously as life goes on, that money starts to sort of dip a little bit more. So I think I kind of start to go, okay, shit, I got to get back into the business, So yeah, it's probably more so, I think money is what causes the yo-yo. Like I take my foot off the accelerator and then I go, oh shit, back into it.
So where are you still living in scarcity?
Oof. Yeah, I think what's coming through for me is this old story that I was fed of, you've got to work hard to make money. It has to look like really hard work.
Interesting. And that just came up right before our call about technology too. It has to be hard in order for it to work.
Yes, oh my God. Yeah, true.
So does that come up in other areas too? Like relationships or other things?
Yeah, I think it comes up with my fitness. Yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm. So it has to be hard in order for it to work. So do you know where that story comes from?
The main thing that comes to mind is my dad. My dad was, bless him, just the most hardworking person I think I've ever met. And very, like your classic, very manly man, did all the hard work, like digging holes and, like come home sweating, And so I think, as a kid, I was the one who I'd love to write stories and be on the computer, and that was my work, and, love to socialize. And so because I wasn't, coming home from work dripping with sweat, it was like I haven't done enough. And then I think there's also, it's a societal conditioning as well. We kind of get it drilled into us that you can't make money doing things you love.
And what do you actually know to be true?
The more I play, the more money I make.
Yes. The more you play, the more money you make. So how can you start to embody that?
Well, it's funny. I've been witnessing of late, I've really dove into sharing my voice more. So being on a lot more podcasts and those sorts of things rather than focus. Previously, I've been focusing on I guess my way of being a service was speaking to people directly, like really just, showing up for people and having that direct conversation. These last couple of weeks, I've shifted my focus a little bit more to making my service through being on podcasts and, just basically socializing on these podcasts. And I've noticed that that's shifted, that I just seem to have more of a consistent flow of people coming in wanting to work with me. So I think it's probably that, just, allowing myself, because that's what lights me up, having conversations. And so letting that be the thing that I focus on more so than the stuff that feels more like work.
What is the stuff that feels like work?
Hitting numbers and, just having those like quotas to meet. That's just so, yeah.
And where are these quotas coming from?
Mentors in my world.
Okay.
Yeah.
So mentors in your world are giving you quotas for numbers to meet for your personal business, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But ultimately, these like mentors or coaches are probably getting some of those numbers from you initially, right?
Yes, potentially.
Right. So you're creating, well, at least in the world that I know, is like usually we get asked like, what do you want to do by when? And then they'll just ask the number to be increased because our egos get in the way. So
Yeah.
I imagine that's kind of what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens if you don't meet your quota?
There's been a couple of weeks where I intentionally haven't. And there's like the story comes up of like, well, you know, this is why you're not, you know, you're not having the income goal that you're setting. Yeah, so it kind of comes up with this thing of like, well, what did you expect? You know, you didn't do the work, so yeah, that old chestnut.
Well, and what is really behind the numbers anyways? Like, how do you get the numbers to reach your quota?
Can you clarify the question?
Yeah. So you said what feels like work is getting the quota, but getting the quota is having conversations with people, which lights you up. So isn't that what part of that feels like work then?
Yeah, I think it's because, okay, so, and this is something that my mentor speaks about. You know, you've got the soul goal, the soul line, and then the goal line. And I think I've sort of fallen into the trap of going for the goal line rather than soul line. So it's almost, yeah, I get focused on that quota or that number and disconnect from the fact that I just like talking to people.
Yeah. So I think maybe it's making more of a connection to the numbers are people, right? So even though your quota, let's say, is 10, whatever that means, 10, that's 10 people that you get to connect with and 10 people whose lives you get to help transform.
Totally different energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like instantly like, ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. And so maybe the numbers in dollars, but it's still come back to people, whatever that is in people.
Yeah, cool. That's, yeah, that totally like completely different energy there.
I see that. So what
Yeah.
what does your body feel like now?
I feel like this feeling, like the opening. And it feels like possibility. Like now in my head, I'm going, okay, cool. Like this means, because I fall into this habit of, you know, because most of my work is centered around social media, I tend to fall into this habit of like, right, I've got to be in my office at my desk on my laptop and then get that out of the way and then I can go play. But now I'm sort of, what's coming up is this possibility of like, I could go down to the beach and that could be work. Like if I consciously make an effort to connect with people out there or, you know, at a cafe or that's me working. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, it opens up this like, ooh, this curiosity of like, I just get to go out and explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, I think what I noticed too when you were talking about kind of the cycles is like being more conscious about implementing both in your week. Because it seems like you have hyper focused computer for like 3 weeks. And then you're like, oh, fuck it, I'm done with the computer. And then you go to the beach for a week and you feel like you didn't work.
Yeah.
So instead, like implementing more of the play element or going out element into that, but also consciously recognizing that you can create relationships when you're out and not just on the computer.
Yeah. I think I'm very much I'm either on or I'm off. And when I'm on, it's like, right, let's utilize that. And I go all in. And then once I switch off, I'm like, gone, off the radar. Like, so yeah, I definitely get to, balance that a little bit more.
Yeah. So how would you want to implement that into like a regular work week?
Um, hmm. I think it's more like, hmm, I was gonna say, yeah, kind of that element of like trying to, because I know I'm on the most first thing in the morning, like this time. And then sort of towards like 2 o'clock in the arvo onwards is like, okay, this is playtime. So maybe rather than having it like a, you know, a cycle of a week or whatever of on and then off, having that a little bit more of like a daily on and off, so that the cycle shortens.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So what would that look like in your day?
Um, yeah, I guess like getting the stuff, you know, like the sales call or the strategy calls and uh the service based stuff, you know, like having the conversations with clients and those sorts of things, get them out of the way first thing in the morning, so that yeah, I'm on, and then I can go out into the world with that intention of play, but also with that intention of, you know, this is my time to also connect and be out in the world and yeah, build bridges and form new connections.
Amazing. Beautiful. How exciting. Hmm. Um, so then going back to the story of everything has to be hard in order for it to work. So we've just shifted that a little bit with your business. But what about um, relationships or the other areas that it touches?
I feel it's definitely shifted in a big way. I sort of, even as you asked that, I'm like, I don't really connect with it. I can't quite find it in the same way.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's amazing how sometimes we think things, again, have to be hard in order for it to work. So, this personal development, it has to be this like really hard thing in order to shift. But really, like you just made this massive shift in a 15-minute conversation we just had.
Oh, totally. Yeah. 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 And, you know, I think it's, yeah. I mean, I've caught myself in the past going like, right, I've got this belief, like, in order to shift it, it's going to take this and then this and then this is, and it's going to be this big process. And that's the beautiful thing, really. A lot of the time, like you don't need to put in hours and hours. It can just be a 10-minute thing, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So that's a big shift. I feel like there was something else we touched on that was, oh, what about technology? Does that still feel hard?
It doesn't feel hard. I'm just so avoidant of it.
Why?
Um, so the story is that like I'm just such a creative. And so I think with technology, it's like there's a set answer, like there's a set step by step of how you have to do it. And so that means that I don't get to do it my way, basically. Like I don't get to just, you know, play. It comes back to that same thing. Like the creative side for me is play because I get to just do it my way. But tech is like logical and step by step and work. So it's that same thing.
Yeah. So how can you become friends with technology?
Mm. I don't quite know how to put that one into words. I can feel it there, but I almost feel like it's like chunking down the steps to, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but play in each step. Because I look at, you know, say it's like an 8-step process to do whatever the thing is. I just see the 8 steps and I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot. Versus, okay, let's play with step 1 and then let's play in step 2. And, you know, like chunking it down so that yeah, I just get to be fully present in that one thing.
Yeah, you can make anything fun.
Yeah.
You can make anything fun. So, even just learning how to connect Facebook to Zoom, you know, you have click this button, and while you're clicking the buttons, you can have a little dance party with yourself, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
so you can do it however the fuck you want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's funny. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, you get to put your Briana flair into it.
Yes. It's funny because I've had this story playing out in my life. I have a phone call that I need to make to my accountant, and like just anything accounting is like my worst nightmare because it's just not a world that I don't comprehend it to the level I feel like I should. And yeah, as you're saying this, you know, about playing, one of the things that I've been really trying to lean into is as I have these uncomfortable conversations with my accountant, it's like just play in that conversation and see what comes up. And like that's, you know, because that's play to me, growing and seeing where my edges are. That feels really fun. And so yeah, I just felt a lightness around that thing. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, beautiful, amazing. Like everything touches everything, so it's like the
Definitely.
domino effect.
Definitely.
Also, just checking your language around that is like, I have to call. Well, you get to call your accountant, because
Yeah.
then you get to have your money straight, and you get to pay them to do it so that you don't have to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why you have an accountant,
Yeah.
so that you can play and not have to figure, like, I don't know how to do taxes. I don't know how to, you know, you don't have to do any of that. You don't even have to figure it out. Like, take my money so that I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
get to
true.
call your accountant. Yay.
Very true.
Beautiful. Cool. There's anything else that you wanted to talk about while we're still here?
I'm just trying to check back in with that initial thing of, do work and relationships still feel separate? No, I don't think they do. Yes, you're a wizard.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, those of you who are tuning in live, let us know what you think, and what, if this resonates with you in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, same thing, let us know what resonates with you. What did you notice from this call? Anything like that, we would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you would like a free 30-minute session with me, let me know. I would love to connect with you.